Well, what's up, Northway? Hey, it is so good to be back with all of you. Man, it's been a while since I've had the privilege to be up here. I'm excited to preach today. I'm excited for that series that's coming, and at the same time, I'm a little bit leery to want to go to Kennywood right now. All the rides breaking down in there. Anyway, so it's just great to be back with all of you. And if I haven't had the privilege to meet some of you, man, it's so good to meet you at some of our other campuses when we didn't even have the campuses that when I was campus pastor here. It's just great to be back, everybody. And I'm excited to finish out this parables series today. And if you've got your Bibles, whether digital or paper, man, I want you to be in Luke 15. So I'm going to give you some time to get there. Luke 15 is where we're going to be. And I want to start out today's sermon by asking us a participatory question. So I'm going to ask you to raise your hand at all of our campuses, online as well. Maybe you want to put it in the chat. Here we go. Let me ask you this. How many of you ever got lost as a kid? Like in a department store, at the mall. Okay, so many of us, and we were like freaking out, right? Where's my mom? Where's the babysitter, right? Okay, here's a question. How many of you were that mom or that babysitter, that parent who lost the kid in the store, in Target, in the mall, wherever it might be? If you are a babysitter, oh man, you thought you were like sinking in your belly. You're like, oh man, I'm gonna be in trouble. Okay, how many of you, by a show of hands, all campuses, here we go. How many of you were that kid who intentionally hid underneath the clothes racks, at the store so that people couldn't find? Okay, a little bit less people. The rest of you are liars anyway. All right, okay. Last one, here we go. How many of you ran away from home as a little kid only to come back like in 20 minutes or an hour later? Okay, all right, I see some hands all over. All right, today we're gonna be studying the lost parables. Luke 15, and I love what Luke does here. He records specifically back to back to back these lost parables. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read these parables to us, all right, all of them in Luke 15, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask the question, where am I in these parables? See if you can find yourself in there, because this is why Jesus tells these parables to his audience. He wants to see if they can identify themselves in here. He wants to teach something about God, his Father, but he also wants to see and draw them in to the story. So here we go. Luke 15, verse 1. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to him, to Jesus, right? And so the Pharisees and the scribes, they grumbled, saying, this man receives sinners and eats with them. So grab the context, okay? You have two different kinds of people who are in his audience. You have people who love him, right? They're drawn to him. They love what he's teaching. They love what he's all about. And then you've got these scribes and the Pharisees, these religious people who are just trying to get rid of Jesus. They hate him. They don't want him around. And so this is Jesus' audience. And then he told them this parable. What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he lost the one sheep, does not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost. And just so, here's the point. Jesus gives us the point of the parable. Just so, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. This is the parable of the lost sheep. But he continues. Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does not light a lamp and sweep out the whole house and seek diligently until she finds it? And when she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost. Jesus gives the point of the parable. Just so, I tell you that there is joy before the angels of God over one sinner who repents. This is the parable of the lost coin. But he continues. And he said, there was a man who had 2 sons. And the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of my property that is coming to me. Now let me pause right there. Everybody look up at me. Let me tell you what Jesus is kind of saying to this. crowd. He's basically saying this young man just told his father, I wish you were dead. I want nothing to do with you. Because this is how it would work. An inheritance would only come when the father would be in his last days. He would split it up in that moment, and then he would die. So this young man wishes his father dead. Give me what's coming to me now. And so the father divided the property between them, and not many days later, the younger son gathered all that he had and took a journey into the far country. And there he squandered his property in reckless living. Now, in the original language, you can think of all kinds of debauchery that's in that little phrase, reckless living. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into the fields to feed pigs. Now remember the audience. As soon as the Pharisees, these people who had these religious laws about dietary laws, and pigs are unclean, they're like going, They don't want anything to do with this. And look at this, Jesus goes further. He was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs ate. Gross. But no one gave him anything. You could get this sense that his belly was so hungry, but nothing would satisfy him. But when he came to himself, he came to his senses, another translation says, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. It's like he's rehearsing a phrase that he's going to say to his father. Now, here's the thing. If you've got a pencil or a pen or the highlight function in YouVersion, I want you to highlight what it is that I'm about to read next from Jesus. And he arose and came to his father. Underline that. He arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, here's the rehearsed speech, Father, I've sinned against heaven and before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father, you get this picture, cuts him off, right? The father said to his servants, bring quickly the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. Why? For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And look at this, they began to celebrate. Are you catching a picture here? Every time something that is lost is found, there's a massive celebration that takes place. But not everybody is celebrating. He goes on. Now his older son was in the field. And as he came and drew near the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has received him back safe and sound. But look at this, the older brother was angry, and he refused to go in. So his father came out and entreated him. I feel like a better translation might be, pleaded with him to come in, begged him to come in to the house. But he answered his father, look, man, these many years I've served you, and I've never disobeyed your command. Yet you never even gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, notice he doesn't even call him his brother. When this son of yours comes, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you kill the fattened calf for him. And the father said to him, son, you're always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this your brother was dead, and now he's alive. He was lost, and now he's found. 3 parables of the lost. And in 3 parables, what I believe Jesus is doing here, he's drawing his audience into his stories that he's making up. And I wonder if you saw yourself in any of those parables. See, I believe what Luke is doing here with the words of Jesus back to back to back is he is describing the different types of lost people that I believe are here today. In this room, online, There are 4 different kinds of lost people in 3 parables here, and I want to unpack it with our time today. 3 different parables, 4 different lost people. Let's take a look at the first one. You've got the parable of the sheep, and I want to call this the unintentional wanderer. And I wonder if there are any of you who might be the unintentional wanderer. Think about it this way. How does a sheep eat? How does a sheep eat grass? We can participate. With its head down, right? You know, the sheep kind of, goes onto this piece of grass, right? Goes to the next piece of grass with its head down. Next piece of grass with its head down, right? That's how a sheep would eat grass, right? In an open field like that. Well, the other day I was at the Three Rivers Arts Festival with Erica and 2 of my 3 daughters. And, I love going to the Three Rivers Art Festival for like the live music stuff. I'm a live music guy. And then you've got all these different vendors, artists and all this. It's cool, but it's just not my thing. So like the girls were visiting all the different vendors, okay? And they're going. And so I was sort of just getting bored, not my thing. So I pulled my phone out. Do any of you do this when you get bored, right? I pulled my phone out. And I just started, kind of walking. I'm trying to keep up with the girls as they're going to the different booths, and and I'm just kind of checking emails, and I'm going along here, and I'm just kind of checking out social media, and I don't know how long it was, but all of a sudden I kind of turned around, and I was like, where'd my family go? Like I had unintentionally wandered away. I was in a massive sea of people, but I didn't see my people, right? And I wonder if this might describe any of you spiritually. Right? Think about it. Maybe your parents, they brought you up in church, right? They introduced you to Jesus, and they got you involved in kids ministry, maybe even in the youth group, and then you went away. You graduated. Maybe you went to college, and all of a sudden your head was down, right? On your studies. And you started getting involved in the social life, of college, or maybe you jumped right into the workforce and you got involved in your career, and all of a sudden you're looking down and all of these things. Maybe you even met the person of your dreams and you wanted to invest in that relationship and your head was down on it. Maybe your kids are involved in so many activities, and all of a sudden you lift your head and you're like, man, am I far from God? I didn't mean it. Like I didn't intentionally do this, but all of a sudden my head was down, and now I've realized I'm really far. I haven't been in church in months, years. I haven't opened my Bible in a decade. You didn't mean to do this, but you have unintentionally wandered away from God. You're not a bad person, but you are far from God. I want you to know the point of this parable is that God is coming for you in a loving way. He wants to find you. He's so glad that you're here today, that you've lifted your head to try to find out, right? Think of yourself as a sheep. You've gone astray. Blah, I need help. Blah, right? That might be you today. And he wants to lift you up on his shoulders. And he wants to bring you back home and celebrate the fact that you're back in the fold. Are you the unintentional wanderer? The second parable, you see the parable of the lost coin. And I want to call these people the unexpectedly helpless. Now, I have a coin here, and I want you to think about a coin with me. A coin in and of itself, right? Once it's dropped, once it's lost, it cannot help itself to be found again. Like it can't bleat like a sheep, help me, blah, right? It's useless unless somebody comes to pick it up again. This is pointing out the human condition, that there is nothing that we can do to save ourselves from our sin. There's nothing that we can do that will make God love us less or more. This speaks to the human condition, that when we are helpless and hopeless, we need somebody to come and pick us up. Ephesians 2:8, right? It's by grace that we're saved, through faith. It's not of my doing, your doing. It's a gift of God that he would pick us up. Now I'll think about the value of a coin. In this parable, it's obvious that the coin is very valuable to this woman who lost it. Right? You know, when we think about a coin in our culture today, we don't really think about value, right? In fact, I don't know too many people who carry around a lot of change anymore. It's, in a tap and pay culture, right? We don't often use coins. Even, when the parking meter is now credit cards, right? So when we're thinking coins, we don't really think value. In fact, when you see a penny on the ground, most likely you're going to step over it, right? And I wonder if this might be describing any of how you're feeling. You feel valueless. You feel worthless. Some of you might feel overlooked, like you were overstepped in the role. But I want you to think about something. How much is this quarter worth? Class participation time, come on. 25 cents, right? It's like elementary school, right? What if I were to tell you you're wrong? See, this quarter is made of silver. And silver in today's economy, man, it's worth a lot. See, to our government, this is just 25 cents. To the cashier, it's just 25 cents. But if you were to look at the silver that's inside of this, do you realize that a quarter, a Washington quarter, that's made between 1934, I believe, and 1964, a quarter in mint condition, like a masterpiece, like it's flawless, it's worth up to $600. See, some of you are feeling worthless because of somebody's words. Somebody told you that you're not up to the performance standard in this organization, so we're going to let you go. Some of you have grown up because you had a father who's telling you that you are valueless. And I'm here to tell you that your worth is not defined by the culture or the people who are around you. Your worth is determined by the God who is inside of you. Take that to the bank. You are valuable to God, and he's searching for you. He wants to pick you up when you feel helpless. Now, think about the flip side of this coin parable. Did you like that? Dad jokes all day. Anyway, flip side of the coin, all right? See, when we think about a coin, in this parable, and how valuable it is to this woman, obviously something took place that she didn't mean to lose the coin, right? It's so valuable to her. Like when we lose a cell phone, like we scramble, we turn the house upside down to find our car keys, right? Valuable to us. This woman is clearing the house to search for this. So an unexpected event had to take place, and I wonder if there's anybody spiritually here where an unexpected event took place and you are spinning out of control, right? And you feel helpless as a result of it. Maybe you got the call from the doctor and you got a particular diagnosis, unexpected, and it's thrown you in a direction. Maybe relationally, she said to you, I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. And all of a sudden, unexpected event, and you feel hopeless, you feel helpless. And I've found as a pastor for 25 years in these settings, when these unexpected events like a job loss or an illness comes, people make one of two choices in this moment. When an unexpected event takes place, either they're going to run away from God or they're going to run towards God. And I'm going to speak specifically to the people who are here today. You're running away from God because of an unexpected event and you feel helpless. Somebody in your family died, and you are blaming God for it. You lost the job and you are running away from God because you think he caused it. Friend, I'm here to tell you, it wasn't his fault. But I know the draw of what it feels like when an unexpected event draws you into the darkness and you feel helpless. Many of you know that this past November, my brother died from COVID. Unexpected event. And it crushed me. I've been in therapy every week because it has spun me. And I have felt the draw away from God. And I have been fighting tooth and nail, claw to make my way back to God, but I can feel the enemy pulling. Some of you have given into the enemy and you have run as far away from God as you possibly can. And I'm here to tell you that the darkness is not the answer. And even in your pain, even in your hurt, even in your shame, God is there with you. He's with me, and he's searching for you now. Will you come home and celebrate with him? He wants to pick you up and show you how valuable you are to him, even in midst of the pain. The parable of the lost coin, the unexpectedly helpless. Now here we are, the parable of the lost sons might be known as the prodigal son, right? But did you know that there's two lost sons in this parable? One that's very obvious and another not so much. So the first son, I'm gonna call him the deliberate runaway, right? You know, I ran away when I was a little kid. I got fed up at home. I was mad at my parents. Everything was not going my way. And I was like, forget this. And I packed up my little bag, right? And I ran away to my neighbor's house. And I climbed the tree. I don't know what I was doing, right? But I sat up there for maybe like 10 minutes and I got really hungry, realized I didn't pack any food. You know, I like packed clothes, but I like, what am I gonna do for the night? And so I got really bored up in that tree, right? So I came back home like probably a half an hour later. And I wonder if this might describe any of you spiritually. Like, think about this parable that Jesus tells, you know. This guy basically is fed up at home, doesn't want anything to do with his father. You know, maybe that's you. You've heard things about the church, Jesus, God, Christianity. You've seen things on the television and you're like, I want nothing to do with God. And so therefore, I'm out. I don't care how my parents raised me, I'm out of here. And you have gone and you have done some reckless living. You have chased down a career, you have chased down the women, you have chased down the bottle, you have chased down the drugs. Man, you have been living it up. And man, the world looks at you and sees all the success, but when you lay your head down on the pillow at night, there is this emptiness inside of you. And you realize that chasing all of that stuff is empty, but you're still hungry for something. You're not sure what it is. And so that you've come here today, there's a realization where you have arisen and you've been invited by somebody today. You decided to click on today and something is happening inside of you that's drawing you back home. And I want you to know this about God. He has never taken his eyes off of you in your squandering journey. He's been scouring the horizon for this day for you to come home. And he's coming out to meet you right now in this place. That's what God does. The good Father, he's searching for you. And today's your day to arise and come home, just like this young man. Are you the one who's deliberately run away, but man, you're gonna be running back home here in just a second. So you get this picture in all three of these parables. There's a massive celebration that takes place when the lost one is now found. The dead is alive again because they're back in the Father's home. And a huge celebration takes place, but not everybody is celebrating. And so I want to call this last son, the older son, I want to call them the tragically religious. Did you catch it in here, everybody? He refused to come in. He was so mad that the father would even let this scoundrel back in. And I wonder if this might describe any of us in the room, online, who are saying, you know what? I can't believe that God would love everybody, that he would let everybody in. When I've been at this my whole life, I've been following all the rules, and this guy gets in, are you kidding me? And you look down your little religious nose at people. See, I think we can learn some things from this older son, this account. The first thing is this: the father invites, he pleads, come on into the party, but he never forces. See, that's God's ways. He invites you to come into his home, into his house, into the celebration of heaven, but he will never force you to come in. Another thing that I see from this is that close proximity to the house does not mean a close relationship with the Father. See, some of us have grown up in church our entire life. We've been in a building with a steeple our entire life. We've been here on weekends our entire life. But you know what? You're just a rule follower. You don't have a relationship with Jesus. You've been discipled to attend a church service. You haven't been discipled to follow the ways of God. You don't have a relationship with God, but you look down on people who actually do. And you're upset that God would even want them. Are you the tragically religious? In all of these, I want to show us that, man, no matter which one we are, there is a party in heaven, and you're on the guest list. Right? See, all four of us, all four lost types of people, there is a party going on in heaven, and you are invited to be a part of it. See, and in this moment, when all we have to do to enter the party, to enter heaven, is to walk through the door. I mean, could it literally be as easy and as simple as that? Well, this is what Jesus is saying. Another place where Jesus kind of said it this way, he said, I stand at the door and I knock. And anyone who hears my voice and opens that door, I will come into him and eat with him and he with me. So I don't know which one you are. I don't know which lost person you are. You might be here today and you're the unintentional wanderer. You didn't mean it, but you're far from God. Today's your day to come back home. Open the door. Come into the party. You've been away for a long time with your head down on your career, on your job, on that relationship, on your family, and for whatever reason today, you've lifted your head and you've realized, man, I'm far from where I want to be with God. Well, come back home. That's all you got to do. Walk through the door. Right? I don't know if you're here and you might be the person who feels unexpectedly helpless. That situation has taken place in your life and man, you got low. You feel helpless, you feel hopeless, and quite honestly, you are this close to taking your life. If that's you, there's a reason that you were invited today. There's a reason that somebody's trying to wake you up and give you hope. There's a reason why God has brought you into this place today. Come on home. Open the door. If you feel helpless and hopeless, let me introduce you to the God who will give you that hope within you. I want to help you by introducing you to Jesus, the shepherd who wants to pick you up. He literally wants to show you how valuable you are to him. He sent his one and only son, Jesus Christ, for you because you are helpless. You can't do anything to save yourself. He did it for you. You might be here and you might feel like you're the deliberate runaway. Man, you have squandered your life a lot and you've gotten to the end of that rope and you've come to your senses and you woke up today for some reason to be here. Somebody invited you, somebody sent you the link, whatever it might be, and all you've got to do is arise and come home to the Father. Walk through the door, come home. You might be here and you may have grown up in this church for a really long time or a church like it, but you are the tragically religious. and you have realized in this moment that you've been following rules all your life, but you don't have a relationship with your Father. And he's pleading, I don't care about rules. Just come in relationship with me. Come follow me and let's celebrate. What was the response of the young man? It's the portion that I had you highlight. What did he do? He arose and came to his father. And so I want to give you an opportunity right now as we finish this series out, as you've been feeling God maybe drawing you to himself, no matter who you are, if you have found yourself in one of those four categories and you're saying, man, I just need to come home, then what I'm going to ask you to do all over this place, even online at all of our campuses, I'm going to ask you to arise in just 1 second, literally to stand up in your seat, and we are going to publicly declare that you are coming home and that you are coming back into the party, the celebration. So at all of our campuses right now, online, even in the chat, you're going to do this, right? I want you to stand up if you want to come home. You need to repent. You need to turn around. You need to say, I am helpless. I am hopeless. Right now is your moment where God, he sees you. He wants you to come home. So stand on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Are you lost and you want to be found? Are you, come on. I know that there are so many people. That's right. I see you right there. Let's just celebrate what God is doing, right? I see you standing up right here. See, there's a party going on in heaven right now. There's a party going on in heaven right now. At all of our campuses, online, I can see the people who are standing to declare that I want to come home. See, everybody, church, why don't you stand with them? We're all going to stand. Stand with me now, and I want to pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you for the fact that we have a God who's constantly searching for us. You never leave us. You never forget about us. Even in the depths of our pain, when we wander away, when we squander our life, God, you are there and you are with us, and you're just waiting for that moment that these people gave today to raise their hand, to stand up, to arise and come to the Father. And so, God, right now, we as a church, we celebrate with those who stood and arose and came to the Father. Let's celebrate. Amen. Come on now, everybody. Let's go. Let's go. There's a party in heaven. That's right.